So with that, Carl, if you would, I'm looking forward to you sharing with the group what's going on specifically in Pennsylvania from a manufacturing standpoint, what policies we can be addressing, and how we can rise to the occasion and challenge our future. Carl?
George, thank you so much for the opportunity to join the web conference here today. Give me 1 second here to share my screen. All right, so hopefully everybody can see this okay. So Pennsylvania's energy opportunity continues. And I would say even, and to the point of the other speakers today, I think even it's even more important now than it has ever been. Domestic manufacturing, especially for products that we're relying on throughout this crisis, can and should have their foundational footprint in Pennsylvania. And we're seeing in Beaver County, Pennsylvania, the site of the largest construction site in North America is underway, supporting 6,500 construction jobs. That plant's going to sustain about 600 manufacturing jobs full time moving forward. But that's just one part of the Commonwealth. That's just one type. That's the wet gas. That's just one type of gas. There are other opportunities that exist in Pennsylvania, and that's what we want to talk about here today. So that same opportunity exists in northeastern Pennsylvania, but in a slightly different form. And we had the opportunity to talk to some of the folks that are looking to invest in Pennsylvania and bring this type of manufacturing activity and natural gas synthesis plants to northeastern Pennsylvania. At the Pennsylvania Manufacturers Association, we have economic modeling tools. We wanted to look at what would the economy of the northeastern portion of the state, and north central a little bit, as we'll get into Clinton County. But what does it do to the overall Pennsylvania economy? What does it mean for jobs, not just on the construction site or in the manufacturing plant, but about the indirect and induced jobs? We'll talk a little bit about what that all means. So today I'm going to give you an overview of what those projects look like, talk a little bit about the upfront investment, the direct, indirect, and induced jobs during the construction of those plants, the direct, indirect, and induced jobs once those plants are completed, and then an overall economic impact of the projects, as well as a legislative update. So here's an overview of the projects. There's natural gas synthesis plants is kind of the overarching category. There's a lot of things that kind of fall under that category. And there are two sites that potential investors are looking at in Pennsylvania. One is in Clinton County and one is in Luzerne County. The one in Clinton County is nitrogenous fertilizer manufacturing. And nitrogenous fertilizer manufacturing is really, and what they're looking at doing here are creating two different products, ammonia and urea. Ammonia is mainly used in petrochemicals and life sciences and in fertilizer, and urea is mainly used in fertilizer, which when you think about, I mean, both of those products are super important to the agricultural industry, which is so vitally important in Pennsylvania. And the agricultural manufacturing, the food manufacturing that comes from the Commonwealth is just absolutely robust and really is necessary for the health, safety, and well-being of our whole nation. And then in Luzerne County, it's actually not nitrogenous fertilizer manufacturing. What they're looking at doing there, and this is all how you have to classify it under the NAICS code, which is the North American Industrial Classification System. They're doing what NAICS calls other basic organic chemical manufacturing. They're making methanol. There's just no NAICS category for methanol manufacturing, but methanol is used in antifreeze, solvent, fuel, feedstock, and biodiesel. So something to keep in mind. Nitrogenous fertilizer manufacturing and other basic organic chemical manufacturing, the ammonia, the urea, the methanol, those are themselves manufactured goods. But you also have to consider the fact that those goods are actually the inputs for lots of other manufacturing. So what you see whenever you see plants like this go up is that you see a lot of other manufacturing cluster around it. And we wanted to see what that maybe looked like. And I think actually the potential is there for the numbers that we have are pretty conservative, because I'm not sure that it really truly captures all of the downstream manufacturing that's going to come from these. The National Association of Manufacturers had done some surveys, and they found that the backward linkage or multiplier effect shows how much additional output is generated by $1's worth of financial demand for each industry. Every dollar in final sales of manufactured products supports $1.33 in output from other sectors. This is the largest multiplier effect across any sector. So manufacturing plants therefore have a powerful and positive impact on economic development. So let's look at the upfront capital that it's going to take to create these two plants. It's going to cost around just shy of $1 billion to put these two plants in. And at the time of their construction, so not in real-time dollars, but at the time of their construction, that is more than Heinz Field, PNC Park, and PPG Paints Arena combined. And I mean, if you can't tell, I'm where my sport allegiance lies. It's actually, if we were to do the same in Philadelphia, it would not be all three of the Philadelphia stadiums, but it would be really, really close. But yes, Heinz Field, PNC Park, and PPG Paints Arena combined, what it costs to build those three facilities is what it would cost to build two of these in very, very different parts of Pennsylvania. So the construction of the plants is going to take around 800 jobs at each plant. So 1,600 different, 1,600 total construction of manufacturing plant jobs. Construction of manufacturing plant jobs is an NAICS code. So whenever we put 800 manufacturing plant jobs into Clinton County and 800 manufacturing plant jobs into Luzerne County, what we see is that there are 629 indirect and induced jobs that will be created based on this economic activity. And the reports that we're getting say that it's going to take around 3-ish years for the construction of the plants to occur. So for 3 years, you're going to see a significant surge in accounting needs, hospital needs, mining and transportation, restaurants, retail locations, landscape businesses, and I mean, many, many more. But 629 indirect and induced jobs are sustained by that 1,600 jobs that are going to be building the plant. So what's the economic impact of that? So the 2,000, when you add them together, the 2,229 jobs represents about $301.7 million in labor income. Now that's that's not in 1 year, that's actually over the life of the construction of the plants, which again is about 2.5 years or 30 months total. But that's gonna have about a $409 million worth of value added, but it's going to generate $812 million in total economic output. And that's not including the $1 billion of upfront initial capital investment. This is really just on the jobs and the kind of the downstream effect of the labor wages and the impact that has on the economy. So once the plant is complete, this is where we really start to see the power of manufacturing plant jobs. This is why I think sometimes people might be a little bit confused as to why the Pennsylvania Manufacturers Association, we're not really a natural gas advocacy type organization. Why are we so passionate about these things? Well, it's because we view the natural gas opportunity in Pennsylvania as a way that is going to greatly expand the manufacturing sector and the overall economy of Pennsylvania. And that's absolutely evidenced by this. So each plant would require about 125 manufacturing jobs, and then an additional 25 oil and gas well drilling and well maintenance jobs. So 300 in total direct jobs between the two plants. Those 300 jobs sustain or create and sustain 717 indirect and induced jobs. And this is across many different sectors. A lot of it is in natural gas distribution and transportation and warehousing. But again, especially on the induced side, a lot of the restaurants, real estate agents, legal services, accounting services, all of those, all of that economic activity is going to take additional people in other industries to sustain it. And again, when you plug in the numbers of those 300 direct jobs, the result is an estimated 717 indirect and induced jobs. And again, what does that mean for the economic impact of the region and these regions in Pennsylvania? Well, this is yearly. This is not over 30 months or the span. This is yearly, because these jobs stay. These have a lot of staying power. So it's $119 million in labor income every year, $185 million in value added every year, spurring $524.5 million in total economic output every single year that these plants are operational. So a quote from our president and CEO that says, based on the results, it's clear that these projects would be transformative to Northeast Pennsylvania and the Commonwealth as a whole. Entire economies are centered around this type of economic activity and will sustain regions for generations to come. Attracting and retaining natural gas synthesis manufacturing ought to be a priority of policymakers at the state and federal level to ensure that this prosperity occurs in our Commonwealth as opposed to a competitor state. So the overall economic impact is shown. We've got almost $1 billion of initial investment. We've got a total of 2,229 direct, indirect, and induced jobs during construction. Another 1,017 direct, indirect, and induced jobs upon completion. If you look at 4 years of total economic output on this project, we're looking at $1.6 billion. Again, not counting the initial investment. That's on top of the initial investment. These are staggering numbers, especially for a region of the Commonwealth that desperately needs it. So legislative update, there was a bill, House Bill 1100, that was a Pennsylvania-focused production-based tax incentive. It was based off of the same manufacturing and tax incentive that created the opportunity for the Shell petrochemical plant out west. It was passed in the Senate on February 4th. 39-11. It was concurred in the Pennsylvania House, 157-35 on the same day. And I apologize, it should say March 27th. It was vetoed by the governor on March 27th, not April 27th. It is not in the future yet. Although I'm very excited for it to be April 27th, because maybe we will be closer to the end of all this madness. But Governor Wolf vetoed the bill on March 27th. If you look at the majority of the passing, or the numbers that passed the bill, 39-11, 157-35, those are veto-proof majorities. But it would take going back and actually overriding the veto, which I don't believe has been done in Pennsylvania since the Ridge years, but there's, I challenge accepted. I think that we have the support to do that, and hopefully we will be making a push to do that very soon. Again, another quote from Dave Taylor that says, House Bill 1100 was passed with overwhelming bipartisan support in the General Assembly, was supported by both business and labor, and balanced environmental and industrial needs. This bill meant high-paying jobs for Pennsylvania's skilled tradesmen and workers at a time of great economic crisis. We are deeply disappointed in Governor Wolf's decision to veto this important legislation. So some next steps. We're going to learn more about these industries, the impact that they have on the economy. We're going to promote this industry and Pennsylvania as a location for natural gas synthesis manufacturing. And we're going to advocate to state lawmakers to embrace natural gas synthesis manufacturing opportunities here, again, as opposed to our competitor states. A brief word on that. West Virginia actually passed in their legislature and had their governor sign a bill very, very similar to House Bill 1100. So in the time that it took basically the Senate to sign the bill and send it to the governor, West Virginia replicated, passed, and approved a bill very similar. That could be troubling for Pennsylvania's investment moving forward. So we're going to advocate, and then hopefully we're going to override Governor Wolf's veto decision with a 2/3 majority in both the Pennsylvania House and the Pennsylvania Senate. So that's all that I have. There are just enormous opportunities here. There are really, really big, almost uncomprehendable numbers. especially for parts of Pennsylvania that haven't seen this kind of investment in a long time. The main thing that I want you to take away from this is that these opportunities exist. They're incredibly exciting. And again, where one of these opportunities typically exists, more opportunities are created. Yes, they are the fertilizers are themselves are finished manufactured goods, but so many manufacturers are going to use these feedstocks in future products, and it's really going to make Pennsylvania a hub and a place where we should be making the things that America needs for generations to come. So thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today.
Carl, I can't thank you enough, and you did a great job of really wrapping up what Pennsylvania needs to do, because we're seeing West Virginia already do it. We know that Ohio has Jobs Ohio, and it is moving forward.